Do you trust in artificial intelligence? I think this is the technology of our time, period. Now, the question really is that is it a trustable technology? And how do you define trust in a technology per se? Interestingly, there has been a recent survey, a global survey of how people react when they were asked a question about trustworthiness of artificial intelligence. Let's find out. Hi, this is Junaid, neurorepair, stroke and epilepsy specialist, and today we're going to basically look at the results of this global survey that was conducted by KPMG and University of Queensland, Australia. And they did a global survey, and it's done pretty good. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, every time you have these surveys, they have their limitations, all right? I mean, these are not end all be all, but it gives you a general trend, especially from region to region, from gender specific, from education specific, from industry specific, etc. I think this survey was done pretty good, and I want to share those results so that you understand what you look through the looking glass in the future as well. Because again, you're going to see a difference in terms of trust in artificial intelligence over age. We're going to see how things actually progress in different countries and regions. So as far as looking at the conduction of this particular research was done, it was included 17 different countries, and it had 17,000 respondents. Pretty decent. It had Australia, Israel, UK, Japan, everyone. So I think it has a pretty decent respondent rate. It had actually a pretty decent, uh, distribution of gender. And I think age group would have been a little different. I would like to see Generation Z a little bit more. However, there was enough millennials and Generation X, and of course there is baby boomers. Honestly, it's hard for them to respond to surveys anyway, so I don't blame them. A pretty good mix of education as well, because there was some lower secondary school, but that's 4%. Again, clearly there's less population in it. Most of them are upper secondary and vocational, so that's creates the bulk of the survey. And of course, undergraduate and postgraduate degrees are actually the second biggest chunk in there. So I think they covered a few people very good. As far as the occupation is concerned, again, those people who represent professional and skilled, like Army is concerned, they were the largest group of 31%. Interestingly, managers were again a little more of a highly qualified situation. So if you look at it from a purely occupation perspective, the major block consists of higher end tier people. They're administrators, service and sales, and manual labor people. Um, the artificial intelligence survey, of course, is all when you're designing surveys, it's all about how you craft the question and how you present the question. So survey doing in itself is a science, and then you can get any result, to be honest with you, if you really know how to pose the question correctly. But I like the way they have posed the questions, and especially that they have done the questions in an application form. So for example, they talked about healthcare artificial intelligence, security artificial intelligence, human resource artificial intelligence, and recommender systems. So therefore, they had this descriptive analysis of the AI system they're going to talk about, and then talk about their trustworthiness. So I think that survey was pretty done remarkably well, in my opinion. Willingness to trust. So we're going to continue with these. I don't want to take too much of your time. The whole survey will be linked down in the description. You can download it, read it. I would highly recommend that you read it, because these are my particular highlights. But of course, there will be stuff that you're going to think is more important than I do. Therefore, make sure that you download within the description and read that. First in question, willingness to trust. The willingness is basically the ideal. The idea is that, are you willing to actually trust it and accept AI systems? Interestingly, unwilling to trust. I mean, these are people that, it's always, if you look at the bell curve of adoption of technology, some people will never get a smartphone until it's not even available on a store, right? I mean, there's always an adoption curve. It's an evil distribution, and that's not unusual for any new technology. Honestly, people have willingness that are higher, but they are still unwilling to try, to be honest with you, in the beginning. To what extent to accept the use of artificial intelligence? And here it is: specific application like healthcare AI, recommender system, etc. And then you're there looking at that overall. If you look at it, it's an even split practically in terms of into three different groups. Willingness to trust AI across countries. Now, this is extremely mind-boggling to me, because I really did not think that India and China and Brazil would be at the higher end of things. It's really odd for me to understand that. I would not have thought that these BRICS countries are basically going to be part and parcel of acceptance of artificial intelligence. Actually, China, I thought it would be. And this actually does go into a lot more psychological impact of governance as well. I think people in China overall trust their government more, and they are willing to share their personal information more, and there's not enough privacy concern per se as we have here in the West as well. But India was a little bit shocking to me because they are fairly democratic, they're fairly, you know, conscious of their privacy and security as well, because I mean there has been minority issues, etc. But all in all, that was really odd for me to see India over here. But again, United States, not bad actually on the higher list. And of course, if you're going to go to other countries like Japan, Estonia, Netherlands, France, where there's privacy concerns and security, cybersecurity concerns are much higher in people's mind, the overall willingness, even the first initial step, the even willingness to accept artificial intelligence is lower. Trust in AI systems across applications. Now, this was again very shocking to me, to be honest with you. I really thought that healthcare would be low. Interestingly, people were more willing uh, to have healthcare application as to be part of it. Ambivalent, I mean, these are people who are undecided, they don't know for sure, and then there are people who are unwilling. Um, I was really shocked that they said 44% of them would be willing in healthcare as compared to, interestingly, HR. And honestly, HR, to be honest with you, in the United States, if you're actually doing it for a large company, your CV is first read by an AI system. It is not read by a human. And as a matter of fact, if you look at the HR managers, they actually tell you do not write a CV for a human being, write a CV for an AI system so that you get selected from the first step. So it is odd that people think that. Security and AI, again, I was flabbergasted, to be honest with you, with that people were willingness to accept security AI on top of things like that. I thought that I would personally have a big problem with security as well. AI in general, of course, and then recommender systems. Again, recommender systems are everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're oblivion or not. Honestly, any type there is something, there is a feed, even from CNN or anything, they are using artificial intelligence. Um, Trust in AI across countries, right? This is interesting that we're logging. Again, India, China, Brazil, and South Africa are on the top. Look at this. Healthcare is literally on the top. Same thing with China. Healthcare is on the top. AI in general is very good. So AI in general in India is low, but in China, AI in general, they love it. That's it. Period. Again, interesting to see these results, and I think this is important to report for people. Willingness to rely on and share information. This is very good, important. Rely on and then share information. So let's talk about share information first. And this is so true. I think when I have talked to patients in general, even in here in the United States, and ask them, hey, I'm doing this study, would you be willing to share your information? They're willing to do it, period. They don't care. The bigger blocks are basically the institutions, the problems are basically, all of these silos that are created by institutions, so they don't share information. But if you talk to general population like this in this survey, they will be very willing to share information as well. And this is very high, and I believe that people are very generous when they're sharing this healthcare information. Now again, there are legalities that are concerning of there, and I'm not going to get into that I mean, if you get diagnosed with HIV, are you going to have a problem with getting a job? Now these are legal issues that have been practically resolved in most countries right now. Even if you have that information leaked, and if somebody considered that as part of rejection, you can sue them, etc. So now those kind of problems have gone away practically, for people to think of that as a bigger issue in terms of sharing healthcare information. Security and artificial intelligence, again, I was flabbergasted to see that people are willing to share information. Uh, I'm going to quickly go into rely on output. And this is, again, this falls significantly when the healthcare comes. But security, they are able to rely on that information. And I think security information like a breach, I think, again, how this phrase the question would be that there's a gate being monitored by video, and if somebody opens the gate and closes the gate, I think that kind of security, I would rely on it, to be honest with you. I don't think so this will be an issue. Interestingly, there's a general response that people do rely on information that is generated by AI. Again, I see AI use everywhere. I mean, from medicine to HR to job applications, everything. information that is, and I do generate a lot of information from AI. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this video is going to be transcribed by AI, is going to be summarized by AI, it is going to create hashtags by AI. Don't get me wrong. Everything we do in our, part and parcel of things we are doing AI, but we check it. Like we check every word of it, and we never copy paste it because we don't rely on it. So, anyways, people are thinking, and of course, recommender system. I'm going to be honest with you. I love recommender systems of YouTube, Netflix, etc. It knows what I like. I actually do press like buttons. It's also on YouTube Music so that it recommends the music I like. I love recommender systems. So, and I rely on them because honestly, I get discovery of new stuff that I like. And I think recommender systems, I would, do this very important. Share information. Yeah, as I said, I push the like button. And the reason I do the like button is to train the darn AI to give me the stuff that I really like, especially in music, etc. So I think these are very good. Again, it gives you a whole, it puts you into a particular system in terms of artificial intelligence. When YouTube starts to recommend things, I don't care about politics. I don't really look at political videos. I look at educational videos half of the time, nearly half of the time, or I just look at stand-up comedy. So I love it in the recommendation system. But yes, this puts you in a hole, which I'm not going to talk about over here. AI system perceived as more trustworthy in BICS countries, and this is Brazil, India, China, and South Africa is over here, interestingly. And they think that their ability is better, their humanity is better, and they think that it is more integrity. Uh, Again, I'm going to keep talking about this. There is one thing that it is worthy or not. That's a technical assessment. And then there's a perception. I think perception sometimes is more important than reality, and that's why I wanted to make sure that people who are getting into artificial intelligence, new startups, people who are looking into founding new startups, people who are using that, physicians who are using that for their patients, they need to understand that how it is perceived in general. And of course, every perception comes with their own biases, background, etc. I'm from Pakistan. I mean, I personally think that government should be can misuse my information. Period. I have mistrust of it, and therefore, since I have mistrust of it, that means my whole situation is tainted. Is it true? Maybe not, but at the end of the day, my perception is tainted. So therefore, perceptions can be very important in real life when you are dealing with new technologies, especially like this. Emotions associated with artificial intelligence. I love this slide, by the way. Optimistic is about 67%. Huge. Love it. I mean, I didn't realize that people are that optimistic, excited, relaxed, chill about it. But a few of them are worried, fearful, and again, some of them are outraged. So you're going to see a quarter of the population that is completely outraged with the artificial intelligence. Trust and acceptance of AI systems by generation. This is an extremely important slide, and you really need to know this. Look, Generation Z and millennials, these are the people of the future, right? They have higher trust and they have higher acceptance. So if you're thinking to generate something, I'm going to be honest with you, these two population is going to be less responsive. These are the decision makers right now, especially the Gen X, right? So you have to please them if you're building up a startup. But baby boomers are out. Honestly, they're not really making any decisions, and their trust and acceptance doesn't really matter. They're not really in terms of us really presenting it. I mean, these are peoples though that are actually investing in your startup, because these are the people with the deep pockets. So again, some things that you have to realize, the whole idea is to put this in front of you so that you understand where people are coming from. People with higher education have higher trust and higher acceptance. Managerial level, professional skills people have higher trust, higher acceptance. As you go down the chain of skills, as you go down the chain of education, as you go up the chain of age, the acceptance and trust becomes eroded. The perceived benefits of artificial intelligence. I mean, these are again very important benefits. People have been talking about this, all of them. What was interesting for me to look at this was that overall benefits is about 49%. So about half of them, you think that they are actually thinking that this is actually good. Improved efficiency, that's true. Innovation, I don't know if it's innovative, but it definitely helps. Improved effectiveness, agreed. Reduce cost, this is going to be huge. If you're going to look at my ARK Invest Big Ideas 2023, if you haven't, make sure you look at it. I've talked about artificial intelligence changing a lot of things, better sources. Clearly, this is very important benefits. Perceived risk of AI. This is extremely important, and therefore you need to understand that the perceived risks are important. And if you can address those perceived risks, then you can actually make sure that there is general acceptance, right? That's the rule of thumb. So overall risk, cybersecurity is huge. Manipulation and harmful use, loss of privacy, systemic failure, etc. All of these are very important. And I'm going to be honest with you, cybersecurity is on the top of my list. Cybersecurity, 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 and it is on the top of the list for FDA and many other. And we're going to talk about high trust. If you want me to, just put the link in the comment, and I'll talk about what is the benefits of cybersecurity, what are the risks, how do you manage your whole artificial intelligence in terms of, especially in healthcare. Don't talk to me about anything else. I really don't know that. So high trust cybersecurity framework is the new standard for healthcare, and we're going to be following it for our application. And of course, we're going to make some videos if people are interested on it. Sorry about that. So perceptions around country that AI benefits outweigh the risk. Again, the whole sample was 50-50 split. Brazil, India, China, and South Africa are on the high. Confidence in entities to develop and use artificial intelligence. Yeah, universities are on the top, and interestingly, commercial organizations are on the lower side. What was what were people thinking? Like tech companies are not commercial organizations? I don't know how they phrase this question. Yeah, government organizations, they have a lot of scrutiny, they have multiple checks, etc. I get it. So security company, military and universities are on the top. But I think I should put them in the same category. And of course, people don't trust government, not a surprise. This is very important. Should you regulate AI? Absolutely. And the thing that they have noted, and I agree with that 100%, is co-regulation. Look, it is such a massive pace of innovation that you can't really keep up with it. That's a fact of life. There's no regulation, there's no policy member that can go from federated learning to swarm learning and understand the mechanics of it and then create a policy in 2 days because somebody decided they're going to move the algorithm from this to that. The principles need to be set, and there should be a co-regulatory environment, and then everyone agrees that there should be regulation, right? That's, I think AI should be regulated, and it should be regulated by co-regulation, and then it should be the government, the dedicated independent AI regulator, industry, etc. But co-regulation is very, very important. AI should not be regulated, and there are only 17% of people. This is yeah, I think AI should be regulated. And it's not simple regulation, right? I mean, you have to report like a food label, right? You should be able to do that. The importance of principles of trustworthiness, again, data privacy, security, and governance is the key thing. Again, in healthcare AI, this is also the biggest thing. As a matter of fact, high trust CSF, which is becoming the standard for cybersecurity, mainly deals with this. Technical robustness, transparency, all of that is important. And how to model a key driver for trust. And if you want to basically create a whole system for artificial intelligence and have a pseudo jury to say yes, I think the best way to do it would be you should have a person from BICS country. It should be younger, it should be university education, it should be a man, okay, and then it should be developed with the conjunction with an institution because it increases this. It has some motivational benefits, and then knowledge, understanding, and efficiency, and all of these things. If you do that, then you can actually increase the acceptance of your AI platform, program, etc. Again, thank you for sticking around for this lecture. Thank you.